Hello and welcome back to Obsessive Preparedness. Today I wanted to do an off-the-cuff video. Normally the videos you see, I've edited, they're clean, and this is me jiggling cameras. I've got a tripod tucked into my stomach trying to not move, and I wanted to do this video because this video is all about don't stress, live life, be calm. We're all prepared. As preppers, we know that we're prepared. And, you know, for newcomers, if you've not seen the videos, hi, I'm Lori, I'm a prepper. And one of the things that I always try to tell you is prep for circumstances like what is going on in our world today. Prep for the natural disaster. Prep for the loss of job. And then once you're prepped, you don't have to go see the chaos that's going on in the grocery stores and out. I can sit at home, I can do my little things that I'm doing, and I've always got projects. I've got stuff going on in the kitchen. I just finished a video of dehydrating lemons. And again, there's always things as a prepper you're going to do because it's in our frame of mind. We're always doing something. But then you can't forget to live. And this weekend, or let's go back, last week, I had done the mixed vegetable and I did a talk about what was going on in our world, and I was dehydrating lemons. And I was going to get that video out. And so that video is not going to probably be released till tomorrow, which is Friday. But this is where I say don't forget to live. My girlfriend lives in Vegas, and I got a phone call, and she's like, Lo, she says, get to Vegas. I'm at the Mint 400. Sitting on the couch, and I'm editing a video, and I know I've got to dehydrate lemons and finish that video. And I'm like, Jack, can't do it. Can't do it. She's like, you're only 4.5 hours away. Get in the car and come visit me. And so I'm like, you know what? You're right. We have to live. We've got to be able to still move around, still have fun, and not be paranoid. One of the things is sitting in your house with all your preps, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do anything. I don't want to do anything because I'm afraid. Live your life. Just be careful. So anyways, I'm like, okay, I'll throw some things together. Threw some things together. Got in the Jeep. You'd never believe where I'm off to. All by my little lonely. I've got a 5-hour drive. I'm heading to Vegas. I've got some friends, and my best friend that I grew up with and her brother, his son and her nephew is racing in the Mint 400, Bryce Menzies number 7. So I'm going to the Mint 400, spur of the moment. They said, get on out to Vegas and come watch the races. So come along with me on my trip.
Come on out of that truck. For factory Red Bull 4-wheel drive racer, past champion Bryce Menzies. Unbelievable drive out there, man. And
you know, we'll regroup and come back next year swinging and try to get that third win.
Give it up for your second place, number 7, Bryce Menzies.
Had an excellent time. Bryce came in second place. Happy to be there. happy to be able to experience the Mint 400. Never been there before. I've done some of the smaller races. And afterwards, the next day, we go out in the Razor. Check some of this clip out. Girls' Day Adventure. What are we doing today, Jackie?
Going for a ride.
Going for a ride?
Hope so.
Woo! Control to Major Tom. Ground control to had a few drinks at the Pioneer, and now we're going to get back in the Razor, and hopefully we'll get back before night falls. And that day was an awesome day. It was one of those things where you needed those 2 days of just downtime. And you know, I get so caught up in doing preps and videos and one thing or another that I almost forget when my friends call me to say, come Lo, let's do this. I'm like, okay. And so I was glad that I was able to do it. And so anyways, talking about the preps, again, I'm always prepping. Come on inside and I'll give you a look, and then I'll give you a look. I just organized my pantry, and my older videos I show in my inside pantry tons and tons of food, which I still have a lot of food, but it's just my husband and I at home now. My son's a prepper. He's got his stock. My daughter's in Kentucky. She does her own thing. And then amongst our friends, and again, going back to prepping, you have to have a network of people. Do you have somebody? Can you garden? Do you have a place to garden? If you don't have a place to garden, do you have people that can have a garden? And so, you know, there's things that we need to do to build our preps up by having our friends. My network of friends is very tight. I trust all of them. They're all preppers. One isn't. She thinks I'm a nut, but you know what? I got you covered if something ever happens. Anyways, come on inside and I'll show you what I've been doing. I've been redoing my kitchen, putting things in containers, and I just had my kitchen remodeled last year, and it's kind of fun to have that space to be able to do this kind of stuff. So come on inside. So one of my first cabinets is my kind of go-to cabinet day to day. You know, if you watch my videos, I'm big on mason jars. I love mason jars. I love my food saver. I love sucking the oxygen out of the product, which makes it last longer. If you have seen or haven't seen my cracker video on how to canned crackers, put them in a jar, and they last so much longer. Now your saltine crackers last good 3 years in a jar like this. Saltines don't have fats, so they're going to last longer. Your Ritz crackers, on the other hand, have fats in them, so they're not going to last that long. And you can see that I've used my food saver by taking the band off. There's no oxygen in it, and so they're going to last longer. Big fan of mason jars. I will always sell mason jars, tell you to buy them. The initial cost is there, but by far it's the best way to store. Now there's some of you out there that are going to say, what if you're in earthquake territory? What if? Well, what if, watch my other videos. I also do other things. I do number 10 cans. I put things in food saver bags. I put things in Mylar bags. I put things in food saver bags, then Mylar bags. I put things in buckets. But my go-to, when I've taken them out of those containers, I put them in mason jars just so that I can extend the life a little longer. So down here is some protein that I've got down here. I've got my dehydrated apples. There's a video out on how to dehydrate apples that I do. I love them. I make them all the time. I've got some trail mixes, some dried apricots, chickpeas. I get the coconut clusters at Trader Joe's. Nope, not Trader Joe's, Sam's Club. Love them. So I get the coconut clusters. Whoop, that's out of whack. So there's our coconut clusters. And then I put what it is on there. And then I will also put the date it was canned, 120, Best Buy. I don't necessarily always go by that because you could generally get a longer life out of it, especially when you're sucking the air out of it with your food saver. I've got some grain-free granola. Now, if you don't know and haven't seen, my husband had diabetes, still has it. He had a triple bypass, and so a lot of this food, I'm still eating healthy, but I do like certain things, and so I buy my granolas and I still eat it. I just consume it on a lower level. But like granola here is grain-free, awesome. Get that at Costco. Honey, some coconut oil, and I've got stock back here of coconut oil also in my other pantry. One of my favorite peanut butters is Santa Cruz. I get this at Sprouts. This is the dark roasted peanut butter. Love this peanut butter. Now, I purchased Kirkland's brand's organic peanut butter. It's all right. Love my Santa Cruz. Let's see. I've got sunflower seeds up here. I've got pumpkin seeds and then nuts. Let's see if I can get this better. So my nuts, peanuts, walnuts, almonds, macadamia nuts, and walnuts. Maybe I pronounced that. Sorry, this is off the cuff. Up here, I have got, let's see if I can get this. I've got my chia seeds, flax seeds, coconut, my ground flax seeds. This is all stuff I put in smoothies. Psyllium husk to make my keto bread, cacao, some prunes, wheat gluten. Wheat and gluten is for me to add to wheat to make bread, because if you've used or made bread before, you know that you can't do it without wheat gluten. It just doesn't have that elasticity. So my wheat gluten, some raisins and some craisins up here. Let's see if I can get this still up here. Some more saltines. I've got some dried blueberries, dried apples, some raspberries, some dried cherries, coconut flakes, and then some more trail mixes. So that's what's in that. Now, let's see, where will I go next? Where will I go next? Let me flip the camera. So in this cabinet here, this is pretty much my baking drawer. And I've got a bunch of containers of stuff. So I've got back here some cane sugar, all-purpose flour, powdered sugar, keto bread mix, some egg protein back here, raw sugar, almond flour, and I've got my just like keto pancake mix right here, some brown sugar, palm sugar, grits, old-fashioned oatmeal. Now I have cases and cases of oatmeal. So when I open up my number 10 cans of oatmeal, I will pour it inside this container so that I can use it. My brown sugar, this is just what I've got here for cooking. There's like 3 bags in here. And then this is just a mixture of like keto kind of stuff, grain-free for my husband. And then I've also got my xanthan gum, which we use for now hand sanitizer, but it's a great thickener for gravies. I've got a ton of yeast here. Let me pull this out. And then this is also almond flour in mason jars. And you can see I've got some carob chips, semi-sweet, Lily's, dark chocolate, butterscotch. Just, this is all like baking stuff. I've got a lot of Swerve in here got Swerve in jars, monk sugar, brown sugar. And so just a little bit of mix of everything. So from sugar to no sugar, Swerve. So on my baking drawer, in my baking supplies, I've got a little mixture of everything because I still cook a lot of food for a lot of people and they don't need gluten-free or sugar-free. So in my drawers, I've got a lot of the Swerve. I've got Lily's chocolates, which are all sugar-free. And then we also have your grain-free stuff, gluten-free. And then I do have my all-purpose. So that's the reason why I have a little mixture of everything. When the husband's home, not out on the road, highwayman trucking, I am cooking clean for him. I try to get him to eat as fresh and green and as natural as I can get, because out on the road, he's not getting that all the time. So that's why you see a mixture of everything in my household. I have kids still come by. I have grandkids. I have friends. So I'm not just cooking for a diabetic. So going up here into this cabinet, I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera around and show you that. This is where I store my K-cups, coffee. I've got containers of coffees back here. Generally, I always have 6 containers of regular coffee and then the K-cups. And I also have all my cooking oils. So I've got Baker's Joy, Crisco, you can see it. And this is my go-to everyday storage. I do have regular pancake syrup. I have got sugar-free. I have got the keto syrups. So a little bit of everything that I have up here is every day, what I use every day. So working in a little tight quarters here, this is one of my pantries. This is a lot of my everyday kind of product again. And let's see if I can get some ideas here how to get where you can see what's going on here. I have chunky soups down here. I did a video on chunky soups. I've got baskets of these Knorr pastas, the pastas and rice. I've got boxes that I haven't yet put into anything. And I always talk about if rice or anything is in a box loose like this, you want to, if you're going to do it for long-term food storage, get it out of the box. Put it in mason jars, put them in Food Saver. You could even put a bunch of them in a 5-gallon bucket and the lid seals. But what happens is sitting on the shelf, you're going to get weevils eventually. So this is something, because of what is going on in the world today, I just bought some extra. I just haven't put it into my Food Saver bags yet. So down here in my pasta, I've showed videos of putting your rice-a-roni in Food Saver bags. Now, I put them in Mylar bags after I put them in my Food Saver bags, and that is what goes out to my food storage room. And when I'm ready to use it, all I do is open up the Mylar, I'll keep it in my Food Saver bags, and I've got like 10 different rice-a-ronis in a Mylar bag. Now, this is what I had done. Let's see if I can get it where you can see it. On 312. So it says wild rice aroni, and I use 1 2/3 cup water. So this is from 2012. I've got another one that I haven't used is rice pilaf, and this all came out of the same Mylar bag. And let me get this picked up real quick. So my hair keeps getting in the way. So I've got my soups back here. I've got some rice-a-roni, pastaroni. Now you can see that this is stuff that I just recently purchased because of what's going on. I might go out and get a little bit more, and I will eventually get this into something that is more shelf stable for long term, because we all know we can get 2, 3, even longer if we put it in the right containers. I've got some up here. I've got some chicken stock, some beef broth, some macaroni and cheese. That stuff my grandson loves, so I'm cooking that. I'm not worried about doing anything with that. I've got cake mixes up here. In a pinch, if really things were bad, you're going to want some desserts. You're going to want to have something other than the normal soup or top ramen, something like that. So always plan for that. Now, if you don't have the funds, always plan on proteins, vegetables, things like that. But if you have the money and the funds down the line, we've got your food storage built up, then by all means, think about some sweets. And so I've got a lot of that up here. Now, another real quick tip. When you're storing your stuff, that will go rancid. So because I do a lot of things for people and events, big events, I cook for racquetball tournaments, things like that. And so I will use those mixes up. But if you don't, after a period of time, they're going to go rancid because of the flour that's in them. And then also they're not going to have the rising agents in it. So when I have them that are a little over a year old, then I'll add some extra baking powder to the mix. Normally about a half a teaspoon, and just helps it rise a little bit better. So that's something that I do. I don't store a whole lot of fruit anymore. The reason being is because if you don't turn your fruit, they bulge. I had a can of pineapple blow up in my other pantry, and I'm just like, I'm done. I'm dehydrating my fruits and stuff like that. I still keep some of it on hand, but not as much. Another thing that does not last long is anything tomato because of the acidity in it. And so I always put, again, dates. This was on 12/19. And again, rotate, rotate, rotate. If you're going to have food storage, make sure that you rotate your food. Let's see. I've got some down here, some just different flavored mashed potatoes. Now these guys I really like for food storage to think about because it's already in a Mylar bag, which is awesome. And for $1, you can go buy different flavors and it gives you a great meal every day, just like our pastas. These are in decent sealed bags, so I'm not worried about these and having to put them in a different container. Let's see, I've got some Powerade up at the very top of that shelf. Get the camera spun around here. Because of what's going on, I went ahead and went out and purchased a bunch of the soups, the top ramen soups. And normally I don't have that many on hand, but I'm like, what the heck, in a pinch, if you have neighbors or anybody that's hungry, you can give those out. And I didn't buy a ton of them because those will worm eventually. So you have to know what you're going to keep for long term or what you're not going to, if that makes sense. Another thing is if you have the funds, and they're getting close to the time where you're like questioning, give them to the food banks. Give the food to the food banks. So I do a lot of that. Now, I've got the top ramens in the cups up here. I've got my dehydrated beans here. And then just some odds and end beans down here. I've got some canned goods. Again, if you've watched my videos, you know I don't stock a lot of canned goods anymore because we just don't eat it that much. So I would rather dehydrate my vegetables, which you've seen on a lot of my videos, and that way it lasts forever. And then we can just go in and grab some handfuls. So I still keep a lot of it on hand, but not as much as I once did. Another thing to think about is in a pinch, if you don't have water and you're going to need something like this, let's call it, let me get our rice-a-roni. Okay, the rice-a-roni calls for 2 cups of water. Well, you can add green beans to it, so you can add some vegetables and then use some of the liquid in here. So you're not having to use as much water if something happens where you don't have water. All right, get this put away. And so I've got some corn, I've got some green beans. And again, only put in your pantry what you are going to eat, what your family's going to eat. It is ridiculous. If you hate green beans, why would you store green beans? So only put food that you eat. Okay, so again, sorry about that. Going down here, I've got a tub of top ramen noodles and these guys. So there's probably, 24... I've probably got 48 different top ramen noodles. Not that I've got a lot of them. It's just something, like I said, to have. Okay, So that is my pantry of just odds and ends that I go to on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to turn and shuffle here real quick. And up here is where I hold a lot more of just baking stuff. So I have got some powdered sugar up in this corner. I've got brown sugar. I always put my brown sugars in Ziploc baggies, the gallon size. Helps keep the air out of it. I've got just a little bit of marshmallows, and this is kind of just my baking area. So something I used to store a lot of baking products into, I use as a spice rack now. So all my large containers of spices I've got in here. So that works out great. The VHS cabinet, awesome for spices or baking goods. If you watch my older videos, my food storage, let me get set up here. If you watch my food storage, pantry, things like that, what I used to do with my VHS, works out great. Let's see. I think I'm just going to turn the camera around and just give you a brief look of what I've got in a couple more cabinets. So this is another little cabinet of stuff. A lot of meats, things that I want in a cooler, darker place, and it's just easy for me to get to. There's a lot of my dehydrated product up there. Like I said, just go-to kind of everyday product. It's not what I've got in my long term. This is just what I have in my everyday pantry. Next to it, I've taken my linen closet and I've made it into, down below is like a lot of my canning supplies, a lot of canned food, canned beans, spaghetti sauces. I've got in this container here, I dehydrated some tomato paste, not some, a number 10 can of tomato paste. I've got chia seeds in my food saver bag, potatoes, my chicken, pork. This is all stuff that I can. My sausage patties, my sausage. I know it looks funky, but it's awesome. I've got some pastas up here. Let me get on the other side real quick. Some more pasta, some potatoes, peanut butters, a lot of oil down here, pancake mixes, oils down here, and then down at the bottom some sugar and some flour. And of course a lot of my homemade jelly back there. Well, there you go, a little tour of my food storage. These videos tend to be a little long because we're talking through them. I don't do them as often. I really have over the years had to change how I prep for food. I don't do as many condiments as I once did. I focus on longer term things that I know that guarantee time on. And if you have questions about that, just watch my older videos because I really have learned a lot in the last 20 something years of how to do long-term food storage and also how to make different meals from little things. Again, people are always going to say, you need to buy organic, you need to do this, you need to do that, you don't want flour, I had a guy say you don't want candy because you should think about healthier stuff. Do you, always do you, do what your family is going to eat and the heck with everybody else. And you know, if you can do organic, you do organic. If you can't, then you do the best you can. And I'm not so freaked. My girlfriend that I was discussing, she is straight up organic. She is straight up everything pure. And she lives her life like that. And, you know, and I don't give her a hard time about it, but she doesn't give a hard time to me about what I do. And, you know, we're all individuals. We've all got to do what we can do for our families and what we like. I mean, that is bottom line. Why store things that you don't like? So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe. If you want to be notified for future videos, ring the bell. And again, don't forget to live. Keep prepping, happy prepping, but live. Stop. So anyways, just while I was ending this video, grandson and son came in. Again, I always have visitors all the time, but I don't have to prep like I once did because He's doing his own thing. I don't have to worry so much anymore. But what I tell you this morning, because of what's going on in our world today, we're not saying it, but what's going on, I says, if something was really bad, what were you supposed to do?
You want to come to your house?
Where are you coming?
No, I prep at my house too. We always collect water all the times, not even at times of bad or good, just all the time. We keep extra water, ammo, ammunitions for our weapons, and we got medicine on stock all the time.
No.
Yeah.
No.
All sorts of little preps, but
No.
comes for good and good and bad times.
So anyways, just another thing, teach your family how to prep.